I'm a fourth generation farmer. I grew up on a irrigation farm in Leeton, and now together with my husband we farm properties north of Wagga, dryland cropping. I did my degree at Sydney Uni, and during my degree I was fortunate to be able to do a semester overseas at Uppsala University in Sweden. And then when I returned from there, I was graduate recruited to PwC in Sydney. And I spent nearly 6 years at PwC, and it was an excellent grounding for my future career. One of the biggest challenges initially was making the decision to move back from Sydney and leave my role at PwC to relocate to Wagga. When I initially made that decision, certainly I do remember colleagues saying, your career, what are you doing? Your career is going to be over. So that did, at that stage, cause some concern for me. And in fact, it's been quite unfounded, because relocating to Wagga has given me the opportunity to take on roles that perhaps I wouldn't have had the opportunity to take on at such an early stage in my career. I think all the roles that I've taken on throughout my career have provided me with a stepping stone, and I always look for roles that will challenge me both professionally and personally, and that's been really important to me. So every role I take, I always think about it and think about where strategically that will perhaps take me, and if it's going to meet my short-term and long-term goals. I could never have thought that in less than 12 months I would have travelled to San Francisco, Tel Aviv and China and met some of Australia's top business leaders. So it's been an incredible journey, and one that I'm really grateful for.
When we put out the call for women from across Australia with bold ideas for solving big problems in the world with technology, more than 800 registered to apply, and among them was Naomi Stuart, here from Wagga, the founder and CEO of FarmPay. Naomi had to go through a really high pressure test to get into the program. The top 20 ideas were selected to come into boot camp to pressure test the founder, pressure test their idea and coach them to pitch to a room of judges seeking investment and the opportunity to come into the accelerator. And Naomi absolutely blew it out of the park.
FarmPay was one of those ideas which sort of we thought was a good idea. We better do something about it, otherwise no one would. So and we thought there was no perfect time to take that first step, and when Naomi put the application in and she got accepted, it was just sort of, well, what do we do? And we said, well, we better have a go.
We'd been thinking about FarmPay for quite some time, and the lack of transparency over the agricultural supply chains. And by chance I happened to meet somebody who suggested that I apply for the She Starts Accelerator program, and that was back in October last year. And like 800 people across the country, I applied, and I was invited to the boot camp in November and December, where we worked on validating FarmPay, which meant talking to not only farmers but also to grain traders, and that's something we've focused heavily on during the development of FarmPay. We pitched our idea to a group of investors and received pre-seed funding, and we've been working steadily on FarmPay since January, so just over 8 months now.
I remember my first thoughts when Naomi walked into the judging room at the end of the boot camp. We'd just taken the founders through a pretty intensive few weeks to prepare for that day, and I saw her pacing around outside practicing and rehearsing that pitch before she walked in. She was still like focused, she was in the zone, and when she walked into the room, she was the first pitch of the day for us, and the judges who were there around the table from leading corporates around the country, our leadership group, our investment group, were just instantly captivated. This woman walked into the room and she had a piece of wheat in her hand and she put it down on the table, and she took us into her life. She took us into the story of why FarmPay exists.
There's a couple of key learnings. One is, you must always start with a problem. So there's no point developing a startup if you're not solving a real life problem. And secondly, you need to stay true to your purpose. So with FarmPay, our purpose is really to ensure the sustainability of agriculture globally and to ensure that farmers get paid. So every decision that I make, I go back to, are we fulfilling our purpose? And the other key learning is that you need to be resilient in startups. So it's not only the professional resilience, but it's the personal resilience. So I try to make sure that I still take some time for myself and I make sure I'm fit and healthy. So you'll often see me out for a run of a morning because that's the way that I ensure that I can stay personally resilient.
It's a new day every day. I don't know where Naomi's going to be from one week to the other. She could be anywhere. She could be in Sydney, Melbourne, anywhere in Australia or China, Israel, America.
I do split my time between Wagga and Sydney currently, and it's really important to us that we are based in a regional centre like Wagga because this is where our family's based and this is where our farms are based, and also this is where our market is. This is where our farmers and traders are.
What excites me most about FarmPay, I guess, is that not only the journey Naomi's been on, what she's been learning, but also the difference she can make through this new platform. Not only will it speed up payments, but it's value adds all along the supply chain. So not only farmers in Australia benefit, traders and buyers in Australia will also benefit, and also ultimately the farmers all around the world will also benefit from it once we launch overseas as well.
I think it's important to acknowledge that I actually have a lot of assistance. My husband's extremely supportive of FarmPay and also is very hands-on with our children, and I have a lot of family support, including from my mum, to help manage the day-to-day with the children. And that's important because I think we need to recognise as women that we don't need to do it all, and it's sometimes not possible to do it all, and certainly I'm a big advocate of acknowledging that I don't do this all on my own. I have a very strong support network.
Home life has been tough, but we know if we don't knuckle down, have a go, we'll probably regret it the rest of our life. So we sort of do the best we can, and the kids understand, which is good.
My family is incredibly important to me, and no matter what I'm doing, my family always comes first. So I always think of it that if the children and Luke are happy and my extended family and friends are happy and they're healthy, then it makes it much easier for me to go and do what I need to do. So family first, always before career.
I hope in some way my journey will be able to inspire others to also take that first step. And it's not only women, but also people living in regions, because
you can't be what you can't see. So I'm certainly hoping that my journey will perhaps inspire our children and maybe other children to, in the future, become an entrepreneur.